Let's talk about honesty, specifically being honest with yourself. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people are obviously lying to themselves. You know, it could be something small like, oh, I'm going to lose weight, or it could be something big like, I'm going to be a better friend, or I'm going to get a better job, or go back to school, or something like that. And then they just don't put in the effort, or they don't even take the first step to achieve that goal. And it's just really frustrating to me. But what's even more frustrating is when I catch myself doing that. If you know me, you know one of my big goals for the last few years has been running the marathon. And last year in 2023, I ran my first full marathon. And then I also ran my first full marathon under 4 hours. And that was a huge accomplishment for me. I'm a pretty terrible runner, so it took a lot of work to get there. At that point, I had the decision to say either, okay, I'm good with this, like 4 hours is a very respectable time, and I'm very happy about that. Or I could say, you know, I'm going to go push it a little bit more and see how far I can go with this thing. Basically, after going back and forth for a while, I decided to see how far I could go, see if I could get to a 3:30 or a three hour marathon, Boston qualifier, whatever, you know? And so this year I ran Austin again. I ran it in 3:39, and that was a huge surprise. Amazing, much better than last year. Big improvement. And I said, okay, well, that was really good. What if I put in 100% of my effort for the next 3 months and did another training block to get another PR and see what happens? And the short story is, what happened is I cramped up at the end of the OC marathon and didn't PR. Even though I trained a ton for that, I didn't get the result that I wanted. And I have been thinking about it again for next year if I want to try to hit a 3:30. I thought I should do a breakdown or a post-mortem and see if I was actually putting in as much effort as I thought I was. Because basically the strategy that I heard from most people is you just have to run a ton. You have to run a lot of miles. And people are talking about crazy numbers, like the professional runners run over 100 miles a week. The bare minimum is probably like 30 miles a week. I had heard somebody say, you know, like my first year in college, I ran 30 miles a week, second year 40, third year 50, and up and up. So I thought, okay, well, I probably did about 30 a week. For that second block, I was aiming for 40 to 45 miles a week just to hit the bare minimum that you need to get a reasonable time. You know, I was doing as much as I possibly could, but I never really looked back at what I actually did. Let's take a look at what the actual numbers were. So here's my Strava going back to October 2023, when it started cooling down and I started my training up again. First week, very motivated, very fresh, 30 miles, okay. Second week, maybe I was hurting a little bit or something, got busy at work or something, 18, not bad. Third week, came back strong. It looks like the weather was finally getting cooler, 43 miles. 24, 35. So these are all really strong. This is like what I thought in my head I was doing, which is good. There's a couple 20s. This is December. Maybe I got injured or I was recovering or something, so I missed a few days. And then I remember I went on vacation back to California, so there was probably, a couple weeks where I didn't do very much at all. And then I remember coming back to work in January after vacation. I'm not sure why my numbers are so low. Probably a lot of work, a lot of stress. And then around end of January is when I quit my job, so it should ramp up here. Yeah, now we're back up to 36 and 60. Oh, that's because of the actual marathon was that day. So actually, except for this block of like late December, early January, I was doing really strong training for Austin. And then I did get a really good result. I got 3:39 in Austin. And then I took a few days off, and then I decided to go even harder for Orange County. 20, 27, 24, 57. That was a strong week. 6 days of running. And then I probably got a little bit burned out after that. So 17, 32, 52. Nice. Yeah, so some of these weeks I actually managed to run 6 times in a week, which is a lot. It looks like I paid the price the next week. Almost always the next week was pretty low. So there's a 35, 29, 19, 33. Yeah. And then this was the OC Marathon right here. So in all of these weeks, it looks like a lot of them were less than 30 miles, which is not really what I expected. I felt like I was really pushing hard and putting in a lot of miles, but I guess in the end I wasn't, because I would do a really hard week and then maybe get injured or just really sore and have to slow it down the next week. So I wasn't in as great shape as I thought. If I could keep doing these 6 days, weeks, every week, then I think I probably would have gotten a better result. It is what it is. And I put all these numbers into a spreadsheet to see, these are just my miles per week, every week. And so leading up to Austin, I was averaging 21.47 miles per week. And then leading up to Orange County, I was averaging 31.9. So actually I was over 30, which is good. You know, the worst week was like 17, 19. Well, that was taper week, I guess. Yeah, there was one really bad week, but the rest were all in the 20s at least, high 20s. If I'm being honest with myself, I wasn't running as much as I thought. I wasn't doing the long runs, which I think is the main problem with my training plan. So this time around, I have 20 weeks until the next Austin Marathon. So I think this time around, I'm going to really try to hold myself to that 40 miles a week goal, which should be reasonable since I did 30 last time. It's a good step up this year to do 40. And then including the long runs, and get those long runs up, at least do a few 20 plus miles. That'll help my total miles also, and should put me in better shape for a strong performance in Austin this year. I wonder if I plot these histogram, is there a pattern or not? Or any kind of trend? Not really. Except for the high followed by the low, high followed by the low. Other than that, it doesn't look like there's much of a pattern here. So a little bit more consistency and maybe an upward trajectory next time is the goal. I guess this is good news because, you know, I was a little bit depressed when I didn't get my the goal that I wanted in OC, but the data shows like I didn't really put in as much work as I thought I did. So if I put in more work this time, then I almost certainly will get a better result, and I should be pleasantly surprised. So here we go. I am declaring right now the goal is 40 miles a week and long runs and speed work. And if that means I have to give up on the lifting and climbing, then that's how it's going to be. My priority until February is PR for the Austin Marathon.